He didn't actually get any better, did it? Like, with, like, sleep on it, see how it goes. The only thing that made it any better whatsoever was Villa beating Arsenal. Outside of that, it's proper shit. Anyway, number one. I mean, you could call this a reality check, but I don't think any of us were in dreamland. I think we all knew the Chelsea game was the best performance of the season, but I don't think any of us was sitting here thinking you're definitely going to kick on from now, especially with the Liverpool and Bayern games on the horizon. Just thought it's going to suck for a good month or so, but we definitely came back down to earth with a thump, and I think there was definitely a lot of questions started getting asked last night and this morning, and it's another result that highlights results haven't been good enough. And sometimes you can say results aren't representative of the performance, but you can in this instance because the performances haven't been good enough. That's all. Like, literally the only game that I thought we had a good performance in this season was Chelsea. Crystal Palace maybe, but Chelsea. That's it. A lot of the players showing that they're just pure and simply not good enough. One step forward, two steps back, seemingly, time and time again. The Premier League is not a league where you can coast. And I think one of the big things that worries me is you're going to get inconsistent results and inconsistent performances when you don't have a consistent structure to your play. Now, a lot of people bang on about the style of play, the style of play, the style of play. But to me, the structure of play is more important. That's what can't change. That's what has to be the foundations that your philosophy is built on. You have to know, look, are we a counter-attacking side? Because if we are, that's cool. We've got a lot of assets that would be good in a counter-attacking side. But to be a counter-attacking side, you have to know how to defend the box. Because you're counter-attacking. You're not constantly attacking. Are we a gung-ho, all-out attack team? Well, if we are, then we got some assets that would suit, but some it won't suit. Are we a possession-based team? Because that, minimises how many opportunities the opposition get, but do we have the right personnel that can actually play in a possession-based team? You got to pick what you're going to be, and then that has to come before anything. Before anything, including even like, okay, I might have to make some concessions because of the personnel that are in my squad. That's management. But you have to come in and say, right, we are going to be an X, whatever X is, and then work towards doing X. And you can't change that week to week. You can't say, right, today we're going to be a counter-attacking side, and then next week we're going to be a possession-based side, because the polar opposites. Now, you can have strategies within games, but philosophy beats strategy every time. Your philosophy has to come first. Who are you to the core? When you take over a team, you go, right, okay, this is the team I want to build. And you can be influenced by players that are already there, yeah? And you can sometimes be recruited because you're a perfect fit. See Brighton and De Zerbi. De Zerbi was recruited because he was the best manager to work with the profile of player and style of play that they wanted. So his philosophy was a tweak, not a deviation of the Brighton philosophy, because they're run right structurally, internally. And when I look at the way we're playing at the moment, I don't see that structure. And that's problematic for me. Because you can say, last season I saw what we were trying to do, and maybe this is because we haven't got the personnel to do it, but I saw what we were trying to do. We analysed it, we shown it to you guys and said, look, these are the traits, these are the things that are repeatable patterns that we are seeing time and time again. This is clearly what the manager's trying to do. But this season, that's not been there. And we are 6 months into the season. And the injuries are there, right? They are there. And it's not an excuse, but it is a mitigation. He still has to find a way. If the guys that are paid 250 grand a week don't do it, cool. Find a 21-year-old. Find an 18-year-old. Find a fucking 16-year-old for all I care. Play the way you want to play as a gaffer. Here's the thing, right? Managers should live and die, and do live and die on their decisions. But have it be your decision. Don't try and do something that you think everybody else wants to see. Take your philosophy and win or lose on your philosophy. And if it's good, brilliant. And if it's not, well, then it wasn't. But don't end up getting sacked because you're trying to do what some other person wants to do. Be you. This video is brought to you by our partners at Ridge. Kick off the holiday season with this exclusive gifting offer from Ridge and avoid giving bad gifts this holiday season. The Ridge wallet is the last wallet that you're ever going to need. It expands to hold up to 12 cards, plus there's room for cash while remaining as slim as possible. It's RFID blocking to protect your cards from electronic theft, and it's built to last a lifetime with its durable materials. Over 3 million satisfied customers and a staggering 80,000 5-star reviews, you know you're getting something special. The Ridge wallet comes in 30 plus colours and styles, including the carbon fibre, the burnt titanium, the forged ember and 24 karat gold. And if you're worried about losing your wallet, Ridge offers an optional AirTag attachment so you never have to worry about it again. Ridge also offers an incredible key case to keep your keys organised and your pockets clutter-free. The key case holds between 1 and 6 keys, and just like the Ridge wallet, it is designed with the same quality and durability in mind. And of course, it comes with an unbeatable Ridge lifetime warranty. The Ridge team is so confident that you'll love it, they offer a risk-free trial period of 99 days. So you can test it, and if it's not your thing, send it back and get a full refund. And here's the best part, our viewers get an exclusive offer. Click the link in the description to get up to 30% off until December 20th. Use my link and you can enter free to win a Ridge bundle worth up to $4,000. Don't miss out on this fantastic opportunity to upgrade everyday carry with Ridge's top-notch productions. Thanks to Ridge for sponsoring this video, and to all of our viewers, happy shopping with Ridge. Number 2, Martial disaster class. It was embarrassingly bad. He gave us 0 focal point. There was no energy, no spark. There was absolutely nothing. He looks like a lost cause, and it was the most baffling thing ever to suggest that the club are going to sit down to extend his contract, even if it's only by a year. His attitude is representative of everything that is wrong with the club at the moment. And I think getting rid of players like that, you can't... And here's the thing as well. He's 5 seconds from an injury. Whether or not his attitude when he actually gets given a shirt, and it was given, he didn't earn it yesterday. Whether or not there's a... Whether or not there's a... You know, whatever. He's not good enough, and he literally just getting rid of the likes of Martial will be a step in the right direction. Number 3. So I touched on this a little bit earlier, but you know I was always going to talk about it. Structurally, and there's a difference between tactics and structure. I would call tactics what you deviate to, adapt to on a game-to-game basis. We're up against a winger that's going to run. Okay, we're going to do this. We're up against a winger that's going to knock it out of his feet and whip a ball in towards a back stick. Okay, how are we going to deal with that? We might not put the fullback straight up against him. We might ask a midfielder to go cover so you've still got 4 in the back line. There's got to be things that you adapt and do to deal with certain circumstances. To me, that's tactics. Structure, your philosophy, your game model, that's different. And I touched on it in point 1, but fundamentally the profiles and the personnel don't match, and we don't sustain pressure in games. We don't control games. Way too easy to transition against us, and the writing was on the wall against Wolves. First game of the season where we're like, what the fuck is going on here? Well, Wolves just fucking carving through us, man. I thought Amrabat again looked good, but he was totally isolated. He's asking him to cover far too much ground. And that means there's far too much space afforded to opposition forwards. We were passive in the press, which is probably what we were so good at on Wednesday night. There are some big fucking issues, man. Number 4, McTominay truth. Now, no amount of goals convinces me that he's a United midfielder because he's not doing his primary job. His primary job as a midfielder, move the ball forward, So take the ball from deep and move the ball forward. That is a primary function of any midfielder. And it's to slow or stop the opposition attack, right? And then there are deviations that come off that depending on the profile of midfielder. Bruno will have less attacking duty, but he might be more involved in the press. He's not going to track runners into the box, but he might be responsible for putting pressure on someone at the other end of the pitch. McTominay offers next to nothing. He hides in possession. He steams forward last minute into areas where you're going to get a goal from, which is good because no other fucker's doing it, but then he's leaving space behind him and United are getting transitioned on. We are playing a fucking 4-1-5 formation and wondering why Amrabat is losing his napper in the middle. Actually, it's probably more like a 2-3-1-5 if you want to get fucking technical. However, we're getting absolutely cooked on a transition, so it's not good enough. There was a reason that in my preview, I wanted Amrabat and Mainu together. We are not... Look, right, I mentioned this with Joe yesterday. I think it was with Joe anyway. Manchester City struggle when they haven't got Rodri. We don't have Rodri ever, let alone... Think how good, supposedly, Pep Guardiola is, and think how good the rest of that Manchester City team are. And when they don't have Rodri, they lose. Right? So we don't have a Rodri. So why the fuck would we think we can play a single pivot and act like a Rodri? We don't have a Rodri. You need to play two in there. Clearly need to play two in there. We're getting carved open. So start playing two in there. Amrabat has took on so much responsibility because his positional discipline and he's got a knack for real energised sort of midfield, defensive midfield play. Can't do it on his own at all. Him and Mainu might have a chance. And, you know, now with Bruno being out, you might actually see McTominay in that sort of crash bang wallop number 10 position, and it might work, actually. But it's an accident. It's not been planned. Him or Bruno. And arguably him or Mount or Bruno. Or Donny van der Beek if you still believe in ghosts and fairies and stuff. McTominay in the team was masking a hell of a lot. The goals he was getting was masking a hell of a lot. There's no control. You've got to have a level of certainty about how you're going to play. You can't just wing it. And we have been winging this entire season. It makes me laugh, man. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got so much stick as Manchester United manager, was accused of being fucking all vibes and this, that and the other. And actually Ole had far more fucking tactics than he's ever getting given credit for. Ever. You don't go to the Etihad and be as successful as you was, or doing things like we did in the Parc des Princes. Every single time United had a big away game, we didn't win them all, but we would have a go. And we're going to Anfield next week. How many of us genuinely believe we're going to have a go? It was wrong at the time to accuse Ole of just vibes in it. He got a pretty fucking ordinary team doing some pretty extraordinary shit, and just because he didn't actually manage to win a trophy, the levels are so different. Number 5, Ten Hag's in trouble, right? Because he is in trouble. The next run of games, you would see managers sacked. I think that the only thing he's got in his favour at the moment is he's got a trophy and a top 4 finish in the bag already from last season. Anybody with a fucking brain should recognise that he's doing and he's up against the impossible this season. He just is. And if you can't see that, then I can't help you. I really can't. You can argue that we should be expecting better, and I wouldn't disagree. But we are up against it this season. And I think if you want to see Ten Hag sacked, and if the board decide that they're gonna, and I think one of the things that's probably helping keep him in a job is the just sheer lack of movement of what's going on in terms of the front of office, Jim Radcliffe takeover kind of thing. I think that's probably stalling any decision on him. I imagine he gets to the end of the season, no matter what. That's what I imagine. But I would say is, look, if you think Ten Hag needs to go, then every single fucking director, fucking analyst, coach, all of you need to go out the fucking door as well. Because how is one man responsible for all of this shit and you lot all get off scot-free? I would argue the players got to go as well. But unfortunately, there's a value associated with those contracts. Because the fucking lot of yous have seen manager after manager after manager go, and it's not fucking acceptable. It's far too easy to give one manager the bullet, when the players are the ones that step over that white line, are paid fucking handsomely to do so, and half the time look like they can't be fucking arsed. That's not acceptable. It's going to be a rough week. Fucking strap in. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.